Two lessons in, four sounds trained. You found the soft palate, you found the throat, you learned to switch voicing on and voicing off as a separate control. What comes next is different. The heavy sounds do not live in a new zone. They live in zones you already know, zones your mouth visited in lesson 1. The zone of the letter S, S, S. The letter D, 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 D. The letter T, 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 T. But something happens inside the production that changes everything. The sound darkens, deepens, becomes heavier, and that heaviness spreads to the vowels around it, to the whole word. One sound and the entire word shifts. That is what this lesson trains. Before we drill anything, you need to understand what heaviness actually is. It has a name, throat deepening. The word sounds somehow technical. The physical reality is not. When you produce a heavy sound, two things happen at once. The first, your tongue produces the consonant in its usual location. For example, the letter S, position, or D, position, or T, position. Nothing changes here. The second thing, simultaneously your tongue root pulls slightly backward towards the back of your throat, and a light tension builds deep in the throat. That secondary movement, the tongue root pulling back, the background throat tension, is what makes a sound heavy. The front of your mouth does its job. The back of your mouth adds a second layer, both at the same exact time. That is throat deepening. That is heaviness. And there is one more thing it does. The vowels around the heavy consonant change quality. The A in a word with a heavy consonant becomes darker, close to the A in father, than the A in cat. The vowels deepen. The whole word becomes fuller, lower, more resonant. This is called emphasis spread. The heaviness does not stay inside the consonant. It colors everything around it. When you hear a word and something sounds deep and full and grounded, that is a heavy consonant at work. When you produce a heavy sound and the vowel around it do not shift, the modification is not fully there yet. Keep practicing and keep working. There are 5 heavy sounds: صاد, ضاد, ط, ض, قاف. We are starting with the letter قاف because قاف is the most isolated. Its heaviness does not spread as dramatically as the others, and you already know the zone it comes from. You have been there before. قاف, ق. You know the letter K, back of the tongue against the soft palate? ق starts in the same general area, but pushes farther back along the soft palate towards the uvula, the small fleshy piece hanging at the very back of your mouth. Deeper, more resonant, less sharper than your K. Here is how to find it. Say K, K. Feel where the back of your tongue makes contact. Hold that awareness. Now slide that contact point farther back toward the uvula. From that deeper position, produce a stop, close and release. The sound that comes out is more deeper, more resonant, more grounded than your K. That is ق ق. The most important minimal pairs in Arabic are قلب قلب, كلب كلب. One sound back, completely different word. If you produce your ق as ك, you have called someone's heart a dog. Drill the switch with me. Pause and repeat. ق ك ق ك ق ك. Front K, deep K. They are both different. The contact point to slide backward each time. Now let's do it in isolation. ق. Pause and repeat. ق ق ق ق. Listen to the sound of the letter in these words. قلب قلب, قرأ قرأ, قمر قمر, طريق طريق, حق حق. Now the next sound, ص ص. This is where throat deepening becomes fully visible. You know the letter, or rather the sound s, s. Tongue tip at the ridge behind your upper teeth, bright, light, forward. ص starts exactly in the same place. The tongue tip does not move. What changes is what happens simultaneously at the back, where your tongue tip produces s. Your tongue root pulls backwards. The throat tightens lightly. A second layer of protection activates behind the first. The s darkens, fills out, becomes heavier. That is exactly ص. The cleverest way to hear the differences is in these two words. سال صال سال صال سال صال. Same vowels, same structure, one sound changed, completely different meaning. Here is how to find your ص. Produce a sustained s. Feel the tongue tip. Feel the brightness of the sound. Now, while keeping the tongue tip exactly where it is, pull your tongue root backwards. Let the throat tighten lightly behind the sound. Feel the s darken, deepen, fill out. That darkened s is s. Drill the switch. Pause and repeat. S, 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 s. Sustain each for 2 seconds. Bright, dark, bright, dark. The front position never moves. Only the back layer switches. Now let's do it in isolation. S, 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 s. Pause and repeat. Now hear the sound in these different words. صباح صباح, صوت صوت, صديق صديق, خالص خالص, قصيدة قصيدة. Now the next sound. We have ط ط, the heavy ta. The same relationship between s and s. This sound ط has that same relationship to ta. You know the sound ta ta. Tongue tip at the ridge behind your upper teeth. Light, sharp, clean stop. Ta starts there. The tongue tip does not move. The tongue root retracts. The throat tightens. The T becomes heavier, more resonant, less crisp. Produce t, t, t. Feel the sharpness. Now apply the back layer. Tongue root back. Light throat tension. The stop becomes fuller, darker, and that is ta. Drill the switch between both sounds. Ta, 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 ta. Pause and repeat. Ta, 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 ta. Sharp, heavy, sharp, heavy. Completely different. Now listen to these minimal pairs. تالا طال تالا طال تالا طال. One modification, two different meanings. Now let's do it in isolation. طا 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 طا. Pause and repeat. طا طا طا. Now listen to the sound in these words. طريق طريق طعام طعام طفل طفل بسيط بسيط. The next sound. ض. The heavy D. Arabic's most famous sound. Historically, Arabic was called لغة الضاد. لغة الضاد. The language of ضاد. Because this sound exists virtually nowhere else on earth. You know the sound D for the letter D. D. Tongue tip at the ridge behind your upper teeth. Voiced and clean. ض starts here. Same tongue tip position. Tongue roots retracts. Throat tightens. Voice stays on. The D becomes heavier, darker, and fuller. Notice the difference between ض and ط. They are produced in exactly the same zone, the same heavy modification. One variable changes. The ط is voiceless, no vocal cord vibration. However, the ض is voiced, vocal cords on. Touch your throat lightly while you produce each one. ط no vibration. ض vibration. Pause and repeat. Check it yourself. That is the only difference. Drill the switch between ض د ض د د. Then the voicing contrast between the last two. ض ط ط ض ط ط. Voiceless heavy, voiced heavy. Feel the voicing switch while the position holds. ض. Now let's do it in isolation. ض ض. Now hear the sound in these words. ضوء ضوء رمضان رمضان أرض أرض مريض مريض فضل فضل. Now the next sound. ض. The heavy DH, the last of the five. Do you know the letter, or rather the sound, the? The TH sound in that, this, the. Tongue tip lightly between or just behind the teeth. Voiced continuous. Air keeps flowing. The is the made heavy. Same tongue tip position. Tongue root retracts. Throat tightens. Voice stays on. The voice darkens. One distinction between the and this matters because the is a stop. The tongue makes full contact and releases. The sound stops briefly. However, the is continuous sound. The tongue does not close fully. Air continues through the friction at the teeth. Feel the difference. Stopping versus continuing. Drill the switch. The. Now listen to these minimal pairs. ظل ضل ذل ضل ذل ضل. Now do it in isolation. The. Pause and repeat. The. Now hear the sounds in these words. ظهر عظيم نظر مظلوم حافظ Now the full picture. 5 heavy sounds, all built on the same modification. Tongue root retracts. Throat tightens. The sound darkens. The vowels around it deepen. The light sounds and their heavy equivalents. Hear the difference. Sa, 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 ta, 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 da, 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 the, ka, qa, ka, qa. Drill the full contrast. Once again. qa, ka, qa, ka, da, 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 va, da, ta, 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 sa, 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 sa. Light then heavy. 5 pairs, 10 times through. Pause and repeat. The front never moves, only the back layer switches. Now the heaviness test. Say bab. The a is open and bright. Now say sab. Feel what happens to the a around the heavy sa. Once again. Bab, sab, bab, sab. Darkens, becomes fuller. If the vowels do not shift, the modification is not fully there. Go back, add more tongue root retraction, add more throat tension. The vowel shift is the confirmation that your heavy sounds are real. The standard. Same bar as lesson 2. A native Arabic speaker hears your heavy sounds and identifies them correctly every time. Not accent free, but correctly. And the vowels around them shifts. That shift is the proof. Module 0 is finished. You have trained every Arabic sound that does not exist in your language. You have drilled the zones, the voicing, the modification, the pairs. Your mouth has been to every Arabic sound before seeing a single letter. Module 1 is the alphabet, 28 letters. Each one is a shape attached to a sound your mouth already knows. the wall that stops most beginners' unfamiliar sounds arriving with unfamiliar shapes at the same time. This does not exist for you. You trained the sounds first. The letters are labels now, and labels are easy. See you in Module 1.